Silicon Valley Bank lessons. If you can't hold it, it's not really yours. Via Shift Gold on Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden. The failure of Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, and Signature Bank reminds us of a very important truth. If you can't hold it in your hand, you don't really own it. And that's why it's wise to hold at least some of your wealth in your hard assets like gold and silver that are in your direct possession, or at least stored in a secure, allocated, segregated, and insured storage facility. The FDIC insures bank deposits up to $250,000. If you have more than that in a financial institution, not in each account, but in a bank, in other words, you can have 10 bank accounts in the same bank, but they'll only insure a total of $250,000. You could lose everything above that limit if a bank fails. Depositors at SVB and Signature Bank lucked out. The government has made provisions to cover uninsured deposits, but there's no guarantee that will happen when the next bank goes under. And even if you don't have more than $250,000 in the bank, you could easily find yourself locked out of your account. Just like last week, a computer glitch caused money in some Wells Fargo accounts to just disappear. There are also more nefarious reasons you could lose access to your funds. The Nigerian central bank recently limited bank withdrawals in order to incentivize people to use its new central bank digital currency. In 2017, India faced cash shortages when the government declared that 1,500 rupee notes would no longer be valid with just a 4-hour notice. Can you imagine? And during this crisis, the Greek government shuttered banks and seized some bank deposits. 50% of all bonds. Can you imagine? You have your money in bonds, 50% of it is gone in the order of the government. Now, most people assume that can't happen here in the U.S., but as we saw over last week, the U.S. banking system is vulnerable to collapse. The dirty little secret is U.S. banks don't hold your money in their vaults. They loan it out to other people. In the U.S. fractional service banking system, financial institutions only have enough cash on hand to cover a fraction of their deposits. If too many people show up at the bank to demand their money at the same time, the bank will not have enough funds available to cover all of the withdrawals. This is why bank runs are so dangerous. They can cause a bank to go under. And when you put your money in the bank, you create counterparty risk, quote unquote. In a nutshell, it's the risk that a person or institution on the other side of the transaction might not fulfill its obligation. Hence, the bank does not have the money to return your deposit. Even if you pull all of your money out of the bank and stuff it under your mattress, you still have counterparty risk, as Mrs. Institute President Jeff Deist explained. He said, even if you manage to withdraw all of your money in physical cash from banks tomorrow and put it in your well-guarded safe at home, you're still a creditor to the Fed and Treasury. You still hold IOU paper with risk of loss. In fact, you've suffered significant losses in the value of your dollars over the last 2 years, thanks to rampant price inflation. Gold and silver carry no counterparty risk. They are tangible assets that you can hold in your hand. They can be bought and sold all over the world. Their value is recognized globally. While the price of gold and silver may fall, it will never fall to zero. Precious metals cannot default on their payments, they cannot commit fraud, and they cannot go bankrupt. Of course, it's impossible to lower risk to zero. If you store your gold and silver at home, you could get robbed. If you vault your precious metals, it's possible for the third-party storage entity to commit fraud, get robbed, or be destroyed by an act of God. Nevertheless, the counterparty risk introduced by storing your gold and silver is relatively low compared to the risk of a bank failure or rapidly depreciating fiat currency, especially in the current financial situation. This is by shiftgold.com on Zero Hedge. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.